6:28. Welcome back to Breakfast Television. A unique format for us today here on the show. It's a conversation taking a look at the Burnaby-South by-election. And as you may know by now, there are 6 candidates in the riding that will compete for your vote next Monday. I want to recognize all the candidates, including Laura Lynn, Tyler Thompson from the People's Party, Independents, Terry Grimwood, and Valentine Wu. And joining us inside the studio are the 3 candidates with official party status in the House of Commons. So quickly want to introduce them. Representing the Conservative Party, Mr. Jay Shin, welcome.
Thank you.
For the Liberals, Mr. Richard Lee.
Thank you.
And for the NDP, Jagmeet Singh.
Thanks a lot. Yes, pleasure to be here.
Thank you for being here. Now, to provide full disclosure off the top, the seating at this table, randomly chosen. The order of the questions they will be hearing, also randomly chosen, along with who answers first. Each candidate has been informed they have 45 seconds to respond to the questions that will be posed to them. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right, so we're going to get started, and I think there's no surprise here. One of the key issues all across Canada and inside this Burnaby-South riding has to do with housing affordability. And we sent a camera to the streets to ask you about your concerns about affordability. Hear what one resident had to say.
Around here is really expensive and hard to find a place to live. We are in a 2-bedroom apartment and we are paying $1,700. So, yeah, we need 3 bedrooms, but it's not easy to find it.
So the big question is, and we throw this to each of the candidates today, if elected, what is the first specific action you will take now to create more low-cost housing in Burnaby-South? Mr. Richard Lee, we'll start with you.
I've been living in Burnaby for 32 years, as an MIA for 16 years. I have 3 children, so I understand the need for affordable housing. That's why I'm so excited to see the Liberal policy. This is a national housing strategy, investment of $40 billion in 10 years. So this is a great way to build new houses, to repair old houses, and also to for family in needs, they will get $2,500 per year as a rent subsidy. So I am very excited. I would like to bring these programs to Burnaby-South.
And if there was a first specific action, should you be elected, what would that first action be?
The first action will be, I will be working with non-profit groups to see their need. I would like to see the proposal so that I can be a person connecting them to the government program. And I would also like to see more housing for homelessness. For this national strategy, there will be a 50% decrease in terms of homelessness in Canada. So I think that will benefit the programs in Burnaby-South specifically.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Mr. Jay Shin, your response.
Sure. When I'm elected, I will be focusing on making sure that the concerns of Burnaby-South is heard in Ottawa and at the Parliament. The fact is that how we make people afford more is by making sure they have more money in their own pocket. Liberals' tax and spend methods, and it doesn't work. And any housing strategy that's going to cost the taxpayers is nonsensical to me. We need to make sure that people keep more money in their pocket so that they can reinvest in their own families, in their businesses, to make the economy grow. And so that's what I plan to do, make sure that those concerns are heard in Ottawa and that we have resources allocated efficiently to target where it's needed, including housing.
Thank you. Mr. Singh.
Well, we just heard from someone who shared their story and how difficult it is to find housing. My wife and I, when we were looking for a place in Burnaby-South, found it also very difficult. The reality is all demographics are finding it harder and harder to find a place to call home. So we need action. Instead, what we're seeing, though, is a Liberal government that's chosen to help their friends out instead of helping people's families. We need actually to see action. The Conservatives say you've got to go it alone. It's up to you to solve the housing crisis. But I met with young professionals who work hard, earn a good salary, and still can never own a place, let alone they can't even rent a place in the cities they've grown up in. So what we need to do is immediately build non-profit cooperative housing. I would immediately push this government to invest aggressively in building co-op homes, non-profit homes, to give people an option. And I want to see affordable homes built in our country. Our country used to do it. Back in the 70s and the late 40s, Canada built homes that were affordable. I want us to get back into doing that. We're going to fight hard to make that happen.
Thank you very much. And on the idea of housing affordability, the other question comes into demovictions, which has definitely impacted Burnaby South. Another question from the street.
And the demovictions, in this area, that's my biggest worry. I'm living in a building which I don't know how much longer that's going to be there. And to try and get a solution to that out of anybody, they just waffle this way and that way. There's no positives.
So we're seeing renters being evicted from affordable low-rise condos that are then turned into luxury towers. What will you specifically do to curb the trend of demovictions in Burnaby South? We will start with Mr. Shin.
Sure. Demoviction is the, for Burnaby South, for Burnaby, demoviction is the real reason that we have housing affordability issues. The low rent housing that was available has been demolished for more expensive condo developments. And that's on the responsibility of the NDP-led local municipal government. So I look at what Kennedy Stewart, previous MP for Burnaby South, NDP MP, what did he do during all this process? He didn't offer any kind of solution. I'm happy to work with the new mayor, Bill Hurley. He's got ideas on how to rezone the process, change the zoning process, make it more available for consider different ideas to make more housing available. I think federal government needs to work with the local municipal government to make sure that that those kind of plans are supported. And once again, we need to make sure that we have the tax dollars spent efficiently to target those needs. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. That's the time. Mr. Singh, your response.
Well, I mean, look at the crisis. We got people who've had homes that were affordable and now are being forced out. Imagine what that's like to just lose your home. I met with folks that were impacted by demoviction. It's difficult. It's so hard. I met with seniors who are losing their homes. The reality is municipalities don't have the resources to build housing. If you look at why we're in the position we're in right now, it's because consecutive conservative and liberal governments since the 90s have failed to invest and build housing. There's not a single unit built in Burnaby that was built with federal dollars since 3 decades. We used to be in the business of doing that. And when we were, there were options for people. I want to see us get back into investing in building co-op housing. I met a woman who lived in a co-op house, and she said, the only reason I was able to live in the Lower Mainland and to build a life for myself was because I had the option of a co-op house. That's what I want to do for people. I want real options for people. The government has the ability to do it. The Liberals and Conservatives have chosen not to. I'm going to force our government and push them to do so.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. Mr. Lee, your response?
Co-op housing is really very important. That's why in the National Housing Strategy, there are provision to build more co-op housing, as well as to repair co-op housing. Just last week, we heard the investment of $400,000 in Burnaby, Emmons area. The Emmons place housing co-ops. They are getting the money to repair some of their equipment. So, and also, just last week, announcement of $40 million in Vancouver with non-profit groups to build over 100 family units in Vancouver. So those programs are being rolled out under the National Housing Strategy. And this is the second year. We didn't start it this year. It's last year. I think continuation to eliminate some of the homelessness, continue to building more new units to satisfy the demand. The Conservatives didn't do too much in the last few years. I mean, the last 10 years. And the NDP, they don't have a concrete plan. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to continue on because we have some more questions we want to get in. And when we talk about homelessness and affordability, questions surrounding cost of living come in, especially with taxes. So we have another question from the street in Burnaby South surrounding taxes. Have a listen.
What are you doing for taxes? Are you going to raise taxes? Are you going to lower taxes? Are you going to shaft the little people? Are you going to do what you're supposed to do with the bigger people?
So the interesting thing with this timing is the winner of this by-election is a very short window until this fall's federal election. So with this time window, how will you use the time and your voice to fight to alleviate the tax burden on residents? This first question will go to you, Mr. Singh.
Thank you. Well, we're going to be right at the time of budget. The budget was just announced. It's going to be in March. So the timing will be that I'll be with the support of the people of Burnaby South, I'll be able to be in the House at the time of the budget to start fighting for some changes. Now, people are feeling the squeeze. We just heard from the resident talking about the burden on everyday families. We just heard a stat also that 47% of Canadians feel like they're just on the cusp of bankruptcy. So people are feeling squeezed. It's difficult. It's hard to make ends meet. What we need to do is make sure that those who can afford to contribute are paying their fair share. Right now, Liberals and Conservatives have allowed the wealthiest to get away with massive loopholes. They're using tax evasion, sending money offshore, and none of these things have been dealt with. They've chosen to help out, massive companies like SNC-Lavalin, jump to their help to provide them with preferential treatment, but haven't done the work to make sure those who can contribute their fair share are doing so. I would fight for that.
Mr. Lee?
That's why I'm so excited about the Liberal policy. It's very positive. Over the last year, we have been putting in policy. See, this year, the small business tax has been reduced from 11% to 9%. For the middle-income family, of course, they are getting, for individual, they're getting up to $300 reduction, right? And for families, over $500 or reduction in tax alone, right? We are also supporting the family, the child benefit program. That's all over Canada. Children's with family with children, they are getting more support. I think those are the programs we are putting in. And for seniors, more support for seniors, increase the GIS. So across in Canada, we are putting more money in the families for our youth, for our children, and for our seniors. I think that will help the families having a better life. More money in the pocket.
Thank you very much. Mr. Shin.
We have the proven track record of working for working people to lower their tax burden. We are the ones who implemented transit tax credit. We are the ones who implemented the family fitness credit, children's fitness credit. And we are the ones who increased the tax-free savings account for seniors, for families, so that they can invest up to $10,000 a year into that savings account, interest-free, tax-free. Liberals took that down back to $5,000. Now inflation is up to $6,000. So we have measures that worked in the past to help lighten the tax burden. Any of the promises that's made by the Liberals and the NDP is going to raise the tax burden, because where they're going to get the money to fund that, it's going to be your people's tax money that's going to fund those projects. So we know taxes are going to go up. We are the only ones who are fighting to lower taxes, balance the budget, keep more money in the pockets of the working people, so that they can invest in their own families and their businesses.
Appreciate the responses. Now, there's only so much we can get in a short period of time here on this show, but we want to give the opportunity to each of you to speak to the residents at home. We know this is an important by-election, a lot of attention on Burnaby South come Monday, so for closing remarks, each of you will have 30 seconds to speak to the viewer, and we'll start with you, Mr. Shin. Why should people in Burnaby South vote for you next Monday?
Once again, we are the ones who are working hard to lower the tax burden for the working class people in Burnaby. We know that by having more money in your pocket, that's going to be able to give you more, to afford more things. Therefore, we need to lower the tax burden. And that's what we're fighting for. And that's why on February 25th, you should go out and vote for me and the Conservatives. Thank you.
Mr. Singh, we'll give you the chance for closing remarks. Why should people vote for you in Burnaby South?
Sure. We're seeing what's going on in Burnaby South is a lot like what's going on across Canada. Families are feeling squeezed. Times are very difficult. It's hard to find housing. Housing is one of the biggest questions in affordability. We've got Conservatives that tell you that you've just got to go it alone, solve this problem on your own. You've got Liberals who've chosen not to do anything over the past 3.5 years. What makes anyone believe that they're going to do something going forward when they haven't done anything so far? People's lives haven't gotten better. In fact, people have felt like their life has gotten worse. I want to change that. I want to show folks that I'm on your side. I'm on people's side. We've got Liberals who are helping out their friends. We're committed to fighting for people, and that means building 500,000 affordable units, co-op units, non-market units, non-profit units, building affordable housing for the people.
And finally, Mr. Lee, why should people in Burnaby South vote for you in next Monday's by-election?
I've been living in Burnaby for 32 years with my family. I have been MLA for 16 years, 4 terms, serving the community. I have 3 children. They are attending schools. They also, one of my sons still in BCIT. So I'm a local representative if elected. I will be your strong local voice in Ottawa, connecting the community with government. And also, I would like to see more affordable housing. This is the national housing strategy is very good for our community. Our benefit to the children is very good. So yeah, this is why you should vote for me.
Thank you very much. Well, listen, there are many issues to cover. We could only cover so many in this format. Thank you for the questions that you provided us with. It's going to be a big decision. Come Monday, Burnaby-South by-election. Good luck to you three. Good luck to all 6 candidates that are in the running. We, of course, will have coverage on City News Monday night. Full reaction results Tuesday. Thanks again to our candidates today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.